think from Terry Lake, he was here.
Really?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we do talk about land use, and land use is one of the topics
Something with all that done work.
that is not.
I've seen, we've done negative tax before, we've never been into anything.
Well,
I don't remember.
there have been, I pretty sure, went through, secret.
They went through a seeker because it was positive.
I don't know what they can
There's a
do.
positive, then you definitely have to go.
Yeah, but to get to a negative deck, there's a bunch of things that have to be done.
Yeah, I don't know, I think it should be easy, that's what I was thinking, we could just ask somebody to, this is your right. Yeah.
They would have to look at what we're saying, what the changes that we're making in the code. So, I mean, we're talking about steep slopes, we're talking about floodplain management, we're talking about a number of different changing zoning various portions.
Okay, welcome everyone. Call the meeting to order, it's our workshop meeting. Just a note, on the agenda tonight, a couple things. The number 3, that's gonna be tabled because the chamber is not available tonight. As far as the, also the firehouse floor discussion, there was questions that we sent to our engineer, which he forwarded to the company that was gonna do the foaming for the floor, and they never got back to us, so I don't have any further information on that, so that's being thing. As far as the short-term rentals, I'm just gonna go over basically a plan on moving forward. I'm not gonna get into any specifics on, you know, what people think and how they want it, how they think it should be or whatever. I just, you know, like tomorrow night, there's a CUC meeting. I think that's a time where you can address that, I believe.
Yes.
So I'll leave that, so if anyone's here that doesn't want to be here or just wants to be there for that, I just wanted to, you know, I said at our last meeting I'd go, you know, state where we're moving ahead with that and where we are with that, so I'll do that tonight. But we're not going to get in any back and forth or make any decisions on how we want to see it or anything. And that's about it. So, that said, we'll get on, first is a resolution 2019, setting the date and time for a public hearing on proposed code changes, reason escrow. Basically, in our code, we haven't in the past had a really a solid escrow code, and now that there's been more and more applications, we are charging escrow to HDRB and planning and zoning, where we hadn't before on all of them. And so instead of the residents footing the bill for attorneys or engineers costs, now there has to be an escrow set up, and it comes out of the applicant's the escrow. So, anything else you'd like to add?
The document that we have here does not have a time on it.
Okay.
And I think what we would want to do is have it at 7 p.m.
Okay.
Half an hour before the regular public meeting on October 22nd.
So Michael will add on the second page, 7 o'clock is the time, right after the date, on the resolved,
Resolve
third
that a public
paragraph.
hearing.
And what, I missed what the date will be for it?
October 22nd, it's in the text now, October 22nd,
Oh, I see, okay.
2019, at 7 p.m. at the
Okay.
Village Hall.
Okay.
So I will make a motion to set the time and place for the hearing, proposed local law, adding chapter 57 regarding the reimbursement of professional Consultants' expenses and amending sections 40-5, 64-13, 111-5, 111-6, 111-26, 134-16, 134-25, and 134-28 of the Code of the Village of Cold Spring.
I second the motion.
We have a roll call.
Trustee Early?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Bellotto?
Yes.
Mayor Morandi?
Yes. Thank you.
So the public hearing is set for
So
October.
the public hearing set for October 11th,
22nd.
22nd.
October 22nd,
7
at
p.m.
7 p.m., the Village Hall. Next we have correspondence. We do have in our packet, and we mentioned it last time, there were several letters that we received regarding short-term rentals. One was from Bill Ehrlich. Yes? What's that? I know, I'm gonna get to that.
Sorry.
One was from Bill Ehrlich, one from Nadia Lee, one from Leslie Nowinski, one from Tom Monroe, one from Robert McCaffrey, and one from Michelle McCoy. So they're all fairly lengthy letters. The board it's been forwarded to the board, so everyone on board has that. So we'll take that in consideration while we're deliberating over what to do with Airbnbs. So I just wanted to let that be known. Correspondence, one is a request to buy a village property at 114 Main Street. Do we have someone here for that? No. Okay, let's see. I wanted to inquire about the purchase of sidewalk in front of the storefront of one, bless you.
Excuse me.
Yes?
I'm sorry.
A sidewalk in front of storefront of 114 Main. The office that has been occupying the space for the last 5 years has purchased a building in Beacon, and I am in discussion with prospective tenants. While the new tenants will be responsible to secure the change of use and building approvals for the village, I would be responsible for purchase of the sidewalk. The building is 114 to 116 Main Street in Cold Spring. At the moment, my interest is only in the purchase of the sidewalk in front of 114, not to include 116. It's expected the use will be for seating. Is there any allowable modifications allowed to create a flat surface? The sidewalk is currently angled such that seating will likely be hazardous or at least uncomfortable. Thank you for your assistance, Ethan. And I don't see a last name there. Was it Allah? Okay.
He's like Sting.
He's what?
He's like Sting.
Oh, really?
That's Ethan.
Okay.
What's the business there?
Tightrope, right now, it's the tightrope.
Right now, it's next to the Garden Cafe, to the west. This is a little bit unusual. We've never, I don't think we sold anything that isn't a stoop, and usually we sell stoops because of the liability we kind of incur with those, so I'm not in favor of selling this. I'm not sure why we would. This comments from anyone else?
I agree that the stoops that we've sold were done, as you stated, for liability. There have been a couple situations where we've sold bare ground, but that was to permit the people to get into and out of the building. So he's looking to purchase a sidewalk so that he can have seating, and then it appears as if he wants to flatten the sidewalk, which would create potentially another tripping hazard. So it seems to me that that's not in the best interests of our Main Street to do that.
I agree. Anyone else?
I agree.
I agree too.
Jeff sent him a letter. I think we basically did the same with property down on Lower Main too.
Right.
We
that
allowed,
was-
so they have access, we
Right.
didn't sell
Right.
the
Right. But it wasn't a sidewalk consultant.
Right, that's true
Right.
too. No problem.
That's where people walk historically.
Thank you for that clarification. Okay, Tate, not there. Old business, discussion of the firehouse floor, which was tabled. Discussion of short-term rentals. So what I'd like to do, and you can chime in, the board, First of all, one of the problems that's been brought up is enforcement, which has been brought up a number of times. The problem we have with that is we never had great enforcement because of the size of our village is one of the problems. We were part-time. We had someone for like up to 16 to 18 hours, I think. 20 was the max, that worked solely for us. That didn't seem to work out that well, so we thought we would go to the town, and we asked the town if we could work with them and contract with them, which we did. And this we thought would give us, service. There's someone there, there's a clerk there, or a secretary there every day, and the building inspector's there every day. So we thought if that was there in place, you'd be able to contact them whenever, and it wouldn't be just certain days out of the week. That hasn't worked out so well either. A lot of the time he's overwhelmed up there. Basically one guy doing everything. And so there have been a number of issues where, either I've contacted him, I know Marie's contacted, we haven't gotten answers for a while. I don't know if it's resistance or what, but it hasn't panned out that well. So today we sent out, in order to hire a part-time inspector, we have to go through Putnam County. So today and if you go through Putnam County, you have to hire off of a list. Have a seat, Frank, if you like.
Yeah, we just had the carpet put to it, but the chairs didn't all get put down.
So, so you have to go through a list, and so right now there's 6 people on the list that we have to contact, which we sent out letters today, and hopefully we'll get replies and someone's interested. It is a part-time job, coming back. If we get into full-time, it means benefits, it means a lot more money and cost on, I don't think we would like to take on. So that's one phase. The other is fire inspection, which that links in with the short-term rentals, and along with a lot of the apartments and Main Street businesses. We don't have really anyone doing that inspection. Used to have somebody from the fire company do it. You have to be certified to do it. It doesn't look like, just from what I looked at, something incredibly complicated. You have to have like 3 years of service with the fire company, and then you have to do these tests, and I'm not sure how complicated they are. But I've contacted our local fire department to see if somebody's interested in that. My thinking was that we could offer that job as a per inspection fee. That way we wouldn't get into a salary or any part-time work. So hopefully, if they have someone, that would be great. If not, I'll reach out to the other local fire companies or put an ad in the paper and see if we can find someone that will just do fire inspections. I'm not going to have questions right now. At the end, I will. So anyway, that's the first 2 phases. I think to address the enforcing. So if we have someone here that's we can we'll just have someone that we can relate to a little, or have a relationship with a little tighter than it is right now. Right now, someone drops out their application, and our clerk kind of moves that along, and then that goes up to the village, the town hall, and goes from there. So hasn't been seamless, that's for sure. Second, I think we've got quite a bit of information. I know there's a survey going around, which isn't part of us. We didn't send it out as far as what people think of short-term rentals. We did get a lot of feedback at the meeting, both pro and con. The letters we received, they're both pro and con. I specifically and personally invited people on both sides to the meeting that I knew were against and for, because I wanted to hear that, and I'd like to have everyone's opinion on this. So I think we covered the bases. What I'd like to do is I want to come up front. We have a number of other municipalities who have passed short-term rental regulations. So it's not like we have to create the wheel all over again. There's several of them which are interesting. Many of them are like very comprehensive. There's also applications that go along with them. So I'd like to work with the board, and I'll come up with some address a bunch of the issues. I think the major issues, and see if we can go from there. Maybe form an ad hoc committee. But I think we pretty much know what the concerns are. I feel we do, and see if we can address those or not. And that's also tomorrow night again. CUC has recommendations that they came up with for short-term rentals. So you should take a look at those and what they're suggesting. I guess the one thing I would ask the board is if you're interested in not having, before I do anything, is if the board's totally against having any rentals without regulations, let me know. Because we shouldn't move any further there. We could just, end it. Also, people saying that, a couple of the letters were that I'm pretty much just ignoring the law and not doing our job here. And I didn't feel like, we got to this point, it's crept up on us, I think. There were a number of rentals, and it just kept getting more until people were complaining, and that's when everything kind of came to a head. I don't think it's necessary to go, bringing the hammer down on people right away. I just think we need to discuss this and work it out. There's been complaints. It isn't like, people are being murdered or, we're in jeopardy or anything. So, that's why I haven't moved ahead and just, said, you're shut down. The people that did have have complaints that we have, the one person was on Parish Street, the person next to them took their property off Airbnb. They were only on there for one time. They weren't expecting the fallout, so they removed it right away. And I think one of the other people were on Mountain Avenue. They had advertised for 12 or more people, I don't know how many, which turned into 12 or more people on the lawns and stuff, which was the person's concern. So they've relisted it. I think it's 6 to 8 people now. So that's helpful for now. Not saying that's where we'll go or agree to, but at least the big complaints have been addressed somewhat. So basically, that's where are with that. I want to get using other applications. I'd like to put something together and send it to the board, and we can work with that. Anyone else want to have anything else? And everything, to address any of this and turn it into law, obviously we have to, for those who don't know, we're not just going to vote on that. It has to have a public hearing. Everyone has to have their input. So whatever we come up with, we'll have a public either a meeting and then a hearing, or one or both on those. So everyone will have time to put their input on that, and we can go from there. So that's it for that. Next is residential parking at the municipal lot. It's how many years have we been doing this?
2016 started?
We just finished paying off the,
3 years,
yeah,
right.
3 years.
3 years,
So
2016.
it's been 3 years, and we have some data that we can go back on and see when it was used and how much it was being used, and what we could offer residents as far over the winter, because that's when, as everyone knows, it's not that easy parking, especially during a snowstorms. So Marie had all the spreadsheets, all the calculations, all the dates, all the numbers. If you'd like to kind of condense.
Well, the request was for year-round parking, not just in the winter. And in the winter, the parking lot is free is available to all residents from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. from November 15th to April 15th. So that is currently available. So I looked at the use of the parking lot for a 12-month period. And specifically what I looked at was from either 6 or 7 p.m. at night until 8 a.m. in the morning. And the highest utilization, of course, is on Saturdays and Sundays. Although there's a reasonable utilization on Wednesday nights, Friday nights, and Sunday nights. My recommendation is that, and this is for the board, my recommendation is that we have a permit system open to all residents of the Village of Cold Spring for up to 20 permits. That would allow people to park from 6 p.m. in the evening to 8 a.m. in the morning. Evenings from Monday through and including Friday, except when there is a holiday including holiday weekends, the date when the village hosts the Independence Day fireworks, and any dates when the village rents out the entire municipal lot. And we've done that on a couple of occasions when there's been a photo shoot, or there's some other request to use the entire lot. Current permit system exists for parking below the tracks. A sticker is issued. The fee is $3 a year. And so I'm suggesting that a different sticker be issued for $3 a year for 20 cars for the period from 6 to 7 p.m. until 8 a.m. There's one exception. There are, as I say, there are situations where the entire lot gets rented. So the permit system would require that you provide an email address so that you could be notified in advance if there was something unusual going on in the lot the next day, so that you wouldn't park there overnight. So that's the proposal.
I'm sorry, you said, other than, you said something about Wednesday nights was a high volume night, and I realize why, but what is there are 37 spaces less
There are
one
38
handicap?
spaces less than one handicap, and the highest utilization on a weekday evening after 6 p.m. was 14 spaces.
Okay, so
So we've got a little extra there. So 14 plus 20 is 34, and there are 37 multi-use spaces, one restricted to handicap parking. So I'm excluding that.
would we mark off a certain section of the parking lot, or just as long as you have a sticker?
As long as you have a sticker. And the police would be, just as the police currently look for stickers on the west side of the railroad tracks for residential permit parking, they would look for stickers on cars during the hours of 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. until 8 a.m. the next day on weekday nights, including Friday nights.
So just one question right now. The 8 M, why not extend that farther?
It could be.
I mean, why? Was there a reason?
No,
It seems like
it was
people
arbitrary.
give people more time to get
I'm
their day on.
I'm an arbitrary and capricious person.
Okay.
It could be.
She also gets up very early.
It could be 9 a.m., 10 a.m. I think we start to get into some of the tourists that arrive, but prior to that, I think it's okay. So if you want to extend to 10 a.m., I think that's reasonable.
From 10, yeah, I think 10 would be
Okay.
good.
So this is Monday through Friday only?
Yep, only Monday through Friday.
And it would be one sticker per person, per resident.
Yes,
Like, if
yes.
somebody applies, it's not 2 for the family or 3.
Right, it's one sticker per
All right,
resident.
and how are we deciding on that? First come, first serve, or?
Yes, first come, first served. And you would have to show your driver's license and registration, because the registration, the license plate number would be kept by the village. Just as the current rest of the tracks permit system works.
Anyone else have a question?
No, I think it's great.
I know everyone's here, so we will entertain some questions for this. Let you go, yes, Gloria?
Will there be a notification of the start date of,
I think we put something in the paper saying we're gonna
or
be
or a
issuing.
push email to people who subscribe to our website, so that
I
they're
think we
informed
should
that
just put
in
a-
2 weeks,
Put a notice in the paper.
I would put a notice in the paper saying we're going to accept requests starting whatever date.
Right.
yeah, if it's first come, first served, you have to know when you want to show up.
Yeah, exactly.
Weekends would not have any
Yep,
additional
couldn't
free
park.
parking.
No free parking on weekends.
Well, why?
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 Because
Because
we
the
make
problem
money.
is, weekends is the hardest time. Like, I work Saturdays and Sundays. When I come home from work on a Saturday, I have no place to park because all the tourists are using all the side streets. So to me, a Saturday and Sunday is just as important as during the week, because there are a lot of us that do work a Saturday and Sunday, and if I work a half a day Sunday, I get home at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Sometimes I have to park way by the battery factory, and I live in Springbrook and walk all the way up there because I can't get a space. So if
You
you're
live
allowing,
at- You live at Springbrook?
yeah,
You have the spaces for?
we have 2 cars. So one car always stays on the street, and there's about 10 of us or 12 that have 2
So
cars.
one of the problems there, and what happened is the planning for Springbrook allowed for one parking spot. So, I wasn't there, and I don't know how the planning board, at the time, it was in the 70s, so not everyone had 2 cars. So now we're at 2 or more cars, and, that can't really lap over to the village. We can't really, what we're trying to do is ease as much as we can, but I don't see that.
Well, because that seems always to be the problem, is the weekends, for the people that do work on the weekends and live in the village. And, so that's why I wanna know why wouldn't it be extended for Saturday and Sunday?
You're always welcome to purchase a spot.
Excuse me?
You're always welcome to purchase a spot
Mhm.
in the parking lot.
On the weekends, how does it work?
The weekends are fairly regularly used, I would say. I didn't do the statistics, because the proposal was from, weekdays, so I just didn't look at the Saturday and Sunday
It's
statistics.
empty at night on the weekends. I front row seats, it's empty on Saturday and Sunday.
It is, that was it.
The lot's completely empty at night.
But from what time to what time?
From about-
After dinner?
Yeah, 9 o'clock
Pretty
until.
much. I mean, we sit there looking at an empty lot while we're all double parked in our lot.
I have a comment, Marie. I have one comment, which would benefit you guys. I don't know, I also have a front seat to this, okay? And what happens is lots of times during the week, when there's nobody in the parking lot, cars will come down the road, they'll look at the parking lot, see nobody's in there, figure there's a reason for that, and those people who would have parked in that parking lot, had there been cars, would have gone there if somebody else was parked there. That happens all the time. I see it all the time. People will come, they look at the sign, they go around the parking lot, realize nobody's there, and then they'll go away and try to find another spot. So it would behoove you guys to let, people park there even during the daytime, because there is nobody there, nobody.
It's more
during
like
the
a
week.
security
It's
thing
empty.
too.
And then other people would park there. It would be something that would behoove you to do also. You'd make more money, and we'd be happy, everybody would be happy.
I can certainly,
You take a look at it.
at Saturday night and Sunday night when the cars tend to clear out.
Okay.
So I'll take that as a to-do on Saturdays and Sundays.
So we have, we don't really have, we have all the data that says exactly when people are there.
Right.
So we can look at, and Maurice is gonna agree to take that on for the weekend. So maybe we'll expand it. There's nothing else. Yes.
I'm Bob Plant, I'm the president of Springbrook. I'd just like to thank you guys for accommodating this and putting that all in, Marie, especially for putting that together, because we've been looking, all 3 years at pretty much an empty parking lot over there, and with people with the 2 cars not having any place to park. So this would help that situation a great deal. And I'd like
Just to be
thank
clear,
you.
it will be open to the whole village.
Yeah, no, I understood. Yeah, absolutely, gotta be fair, but.
One other thing that I did do, because Dave was asking whether or not we could permit round-the-clock parking in the winter months when tourism tends to fall low. So I looked at, the request was January, February, and March. In December of last year, there were an average of 9.2 cars in the lot per day. In January of this year, an average of 3.9 cars used the lot each day, which you can understand. February, 7.7 cars used the lot each day. In March, which surprised me, 13.8 cars used the lot each day. I was very surprised at that. One other thing that surprised me is that no cars used the lot on December 25th. Not a one. That really just surprised me. So I will go back and relook at Saturday and Sunday evenings to see if we can make more accommodations there. I can also, go and, if you want, I can probably calculate the average number of cars per, I have that data for December through March. I can also pull that data from, April through November, if you
Yeah.
want.
Yes, whatever you can read, yeah. All right, so we'll work on expanding and see what we can do. Yes, sorry, Margaret,
Question
how are
I
you?
was gonna ask before is, I assume, I hope I'm right, that the village requires all owners of any of these buildings on Main Street from 9D all the way down to have good fire insurance.
What was that? I didn't quite hear.
Good fire insurance.
Oh, going back, not on this topic.
Yeah, no.
Yes, they are, and we, yes, of course, yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Can you explain how that system works again? You will have to come in here to apply for a,
Yes, yeah, the proposal.
right, that's what I mean.
Yeah, the proposal is that you would come in and request a permit for the municipal lot. And the proposal is that 20 permits would be issued. My expectation is that a permit would be issued when you showed proof of residence and the registration, that the car is registered at the location that you are
And the
living
driver's
at.
license.
Right.
Yes.
I was delighted by every word that came out of Marie's mouth. It was a good person.
That's unusual.
I am a lady who lives alone. I like living alone, actually, and I have one car. But I have neighbors who have grown children, and where a husband needs a car. My neighbors, the Turners, Pat, the daughter, Lorraine, works as a teacher way up in Poughkeepsie, very difficult to teach. And Lorraine walks to the library where she works, but she works part-time at Boscoville, and I don't think I want to see my neighbor Lorraine Turner, who's a little
Pat,
younger
you mean
than I am,
Pat?
not
You mean
alone.
Pat Turner.
I mean, Pat Turner, walking down 9D to get to Boscoville.
They're working on sidewalks.
No,
Kidding.
on 9D,
Yeah, they're actually.
on 9D?
Yeah, well, somehow,
What is it called, Smart Streets?
March Street.
Smart Streets are proposing
Well,
sidewalk from.
I've seen women pushing strollers down. It's crazy. That's right.
So, what's the timeline you guys foresee for doing this?
I will try to get back with the additional data for our next meeting, which is next Tuesday night.
Okay.
Because David's just volunteered me to work the entire weekend on this.
I'll give you 2 weekends.
Wow.
Why don't we come back on the third week?
No, the whole village will.
So that would be the 22nd of October?
Yeah, the 22nd, because we have, the one week we have off, and I don't want to put the pressure on her,
Okay.
she's working the CUC and whatever, so.
Next week's a regular.
Yeah, and that's a regular meeting, which usually is jammed.
So October 22nd.
Anything else on that? Okay. Let's see, request for, to extend the no parking at 2428 Rock Street. Someone here for that? Yes?
Yes. Basically, I just need a little extension of the yellow paint on either side to help me get in and out of my driveway. It's quite difficult to get in and out of it, so and we've had a lot of problems with people parking too close. So
I went over and checked that out a number of times. So you're saying where the yellow lines are, right now the yellow lines are already extending past the driveway?
it's pretty difficult. It's sometimes it's impossible to get out of there, depending on the weather, depending on the vehicle. It's impossible to get out of there with where it's at.
The building or the properties you bought didn't have a driveway, so where you're
Well,
trying to
yes,
get back.
28 did.
Right, yeah, one does, the other doesn't, which is you're now trying to access through the other driveway, which you've also purchased. Is that correct?
I own both 24
Right,
and
right.
20.
But before, I guess the problem was that there was no access to that back piece of property because there was no parking or there's no driveway to get to.
Well, but we used 28, we
Right.
came in and out of that driveway also, that's been that way forever.
Right. The one next, yeah, exactly.
28,
And
and that's
it's
the
narrow.
driveway we're talking
It seems like that, well, talking about not having enough parking on a street,
about. Yeah,
that's
but I have, it's pretty difficult getting in and out of that driveway.
So there's how many tenants? There's three tenants on the front building.
Correct.
Plus yourself.
Correct.
And we have 2 parking spots out front,
Right.
that right in front of the building. And I think if we expand it more, it's gonna eliminate one.
No one.
Well, I measured it.
You could still, 1 foot on either side, you'd still be able to park 2 cars.
I would challenge that.
I would challenge that as well. You could definitely.
I mean, maybe if you have 2 small cars and, make sure everyone brings a small car, that might work, but people don't have small cars.
You could still get 2 vehicles. If you extend it 1 foot, which is what I'm asking, you could still get 2 cars there, for sure.
Sure, I will take a double check on what 1 foot will bring us to, but,
I can go out, I can go back and we can make a.
No, I'll measure it myself.
Okay.
I'm a contractor, I have tape measures.
No, I hear you. The issue is people don't obey the yellow lines
Right.
at all. And what happens is if you get 2 vehicles parked too close, it is impossible to get out of that driveway.
No, I hear you.
And that happens a lot. And we try to put cones out, the letter that I sent to you, I mentioned it a bit. People just park way too close all the time. And I've had people trapped back there several times.
Well, I think there's it seems like people are reluctant to call the police, but that's what they're there for, and people should be ticketed and they should be called.
Do I call them every day?
Sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, no, I
every day
think you
call
really
them.
should. I think you should. I don't know why you wouldn't. I mean, it's probably the same people.
No, it's not. It's tourists, it's all kinds of people. The other thing is, people will go and park there for several days, sometimes up to a week. People will park their car, get on the train, who knows where they're
Right,
going.
well, if they're in the area that we mark off there, we just purchased a boot, which we can put on there, and that would probably stop that from
It
happening.
probably would, that person, but then the next person, so.
Well,
I just need a little help. I need a little
I
extension
know.
there.
I just don't want to lose the one parking lot. I won't lose 1 parking.
You
So
will
I'll
not.
go-
You
Well,
won't.
I'm gonna go see the judge on that, and I'll go down and measure that and see what 1 more foot past that is. Because right now, it's already past it, and you have to drive over or water turn cutoff on the sidewalk.
Okay, but what, if I can't get in and out of my driveway, isn't that an issue?
Well, I don't know how you would work that with the property, because the property you're talking about doesn't have a driveway, doesn't have a driveway.
Yes, it does. 28 has a driveway.
28 does, but the one going back to the stone house in the back, it used to be Centovenaires, that doesn't have a driveway.
It does not, no.
That's right.
But,
So-
but nonetheless.
And that's the property we're talking about
No, we're not.
accessing.
We're talking about 28.
We're talking about 28. You're not talking about, like, as you talked to Jeff about going into the back of the property?
Well, I mean, they're all my properties, so
I know they're your properties, but we're talking about a property that didn't have a driveway that is.
No,
trying to
we're
get back.
talking about a property that did have a driveway. 28 has always had a driveway.
Right. Yes,
Now-
28 is, but when you've come in here and talked to Jeff about this or explained this to police, it was that you can't get to the back lot.
No,
with your vehicle.
no, I did, no, I can't get in and out of the driveway, period.
Okay, all right, I was misinformed.
Yeah, I mean, and it's very, especially when the weather's bad. When the weather's bad and somebody's parked too close, you ain't getting in and out of there at all. At all. So that's the issue.
Just a question, I have no idea, how did the people, I've never heard this problem until now, but how did the people at 28, did they not have a car?
I have no idea.
Because
No
it's
idea.
never come up before, so that's,
Since I lived there, it's come up repeatedly.
right.
Repeatedly. And we've had issues with that since I bought the property.
Okay, okay.
We had a guy who used to park right in front of the driveway. We had a guy who parked in the driveway. I've had people park in the driveway.
Well, extending it a foot's not gonna stop that.
No, that's true.
And people pulling in there aren't gonna, if they're
Yeah,
already
but-
moving
but-
cones, which we
but-
have to stop doing also, by the way. Cones can't stay on the road.
everybody, I've seen, they're not on the road, they're within my yellows.
But that's not your yellow, that's village yellow, and we can't have cones on.
Well, then how do I get people to stop parking
You
over the
call
yellow?
the police.
Every day?
Sure.
Every day?
Yeah.
If they're parked
Sure.
over the yellow.
Every
yes.
day?
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, it's like.
I'm gonna go over and measure it, but I'm saying if they're parking across your driveway, or if they're extended so you can't get in your driveway and it's over yellow lines that we paint, then yeah, you have to call the police. I mean, how else are you gonna stop that from happening? If we extend it 1 foot more, then, and people are pulling in there, then you're not gonna call the police, what's gonna happen then?
I just need a little help. I just need a little help getting in and out of my driveway. All I need. Just like everybody else in this village who has a driveway. We have the right to be able to get in and out of our driveway, right? Am I incorrect on that?
No, I agree. I'm
mean,
gonna
if
go
I
take
can't,
a
if
look
I
at
can't get
it.
in and out of my driveway, that's a problem. Am I correct on that?
Yes, but it
Okay.
seems like whoever the tenant was for forever before didn't have that problem.
Tenant, which?
Whoever was living in 28 before, we've never heard of the problem before now.
I have no
Until,
idea. I have
until
no
it's
idea
the
what-
new, until you purchased both 3
Right,
properties
right,
there.
right.
So,
But that's not the issue. The issue is just getting in and out of that driveway for.
I know, well, the issue is also, wouldn't you ask why how the other people dealt with that and why the village never heard about this?
I
until
don't,
now?
I have no idea.
Because it seems like somebody lived there for as long as that building's been there, which has been quite a while, and they have a parking area or a driveway and they've used it. And now it's a problem, so, and I understand that, but in
Okay,
a way,
I
it's
mean,
like I'm
just
trying to
getting-
look at.
Getting in and out of my, the issue is just getting in and out of my driveway. That's the only issue here. That's the only issue. There's no other issue.
Right.
Just getting in and out of that driveway on a regular basis. And when people are parked too close, which they do all the time,
Right.
it is difficult, if not impossible, to get into that driveway.
Okay.
So that's the only issue here. And that's all I'm asking for is, just a little bit of an extension on what it currently is, and that's all.
I will take a look and measure that. I don't see how, just honestly, a foot going one way, heading west or whatever.
I mean, I've seen, then why over in Kemble there's 4 or 5 parking spaces over in Kemble, where you come down, you paint it over there, how does that, and there's not even a driveway there.
I don't know. every
Well,
driveway.
I'll show you, where you come down from that, right where Kemble and Rock come together,
Yes.
and you come down that, right along there, there's 4 or 5
I believe
spaces there.
I believe that is to allow the fire truck to make a
Turning
turn.
radius for the truck.
And it's for safety. The fire truck can't make the turn if there are cars parked
But
there.
the fire truck coming down off of that.
Or out of Rock Street.
I'm-
If someone comes out of Rock Street to
Fine,
make a
but
left onto
it's-
Kemble.
The issue for me is, it's just very narrow there, and there's rocks and there's a tree on the other side. So I risk damage to my car, and I risk damage to other people's cars getting in and out of it. So, in fact, I think there's 1 or 2 times people have been hit over there. Now, the issue is damaging people's cars as well. So, turning out of there, there's rocks over there and a tree. So,
That's why the yellow lines are there that you're just questioning. You were questioning why there was 4 yellow lines that are there at that
that's over at
intersection.
Kemble. No, that's over, we're talking about Kemble. Now I'm talking about my driveway.
Where are the rocks you're talking
The
about?
rocks are just directly across the street from
That's why it's
28. And,
It's in the hill.
yeah. Again, it's just a matter of being able to get in and out of my driveway. That's all I'm asking for.
I will go over there and I will double check it.
All right, can we talk further on this, or,
I'll go over and take a look and measure it. I'm gonna be away for a few days, so it'll be next week.
okay, all right. Do you know when I can get this painted again, or?
Well, we're not gonna paint it again, and if we decide to move it another foot, I would wait and paint it then. But it will get painted within the next couple of weeks, or 3 weeks the most. Yeah.
If you decide to move it.
What's that?
If you decide to enlarge it.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
it's recently been
Well, it's not
painted.
painted. No, right now the X hasn't been painted.
No, it didn't get painted when they.
It didn't get painted.
Ah,
So, it'll be first thing I'll ask our highway guy to do.
Okay.
Hey, thank you. Next, proposal to hardwire the police cars. There was some questions on
Yes.
total cost or whatever.
Yes, and I spoke with Jeff on that. Currently, the police can get tickets printed out in all of the cars. What the hardwiring does is provide more internet security for the police cars that will have this function in it. So, apparently, the police communications is potentially available. Not that it could be hacked, but people can have access to police communications without this function. So this provides more security, more internet security for the cars.
So where are you on the purchase?
I would approve it.
Okay. Any other comments on it? No, it's concerned. Okay, so we'll make
What's the
a,
cost?
excuse me?
$12.50 per
Security.
car. $12.50 per car.
$1,250.
Plus internet, monthly internet costs.
Right. Which is in the budget already. I'll make a motion to approve the proposal to hardwire the 2 police cars.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and next is approve a ticketed use of Mayor's Park for the Putnam Wine and Food Fest next year. Let's see, we have that. For August 8th and 9th of 2020. We did add an addendum to this, which Laura Johnman, who held that event there this year, signed also. So we have everything signed and deposits made. So I'll make.
Discussion?
What's that?
Discussion.
Discussion, yes.
Yes. At the last event down there, we had, I was able to enjoy the music from my house, which is not something that I want to be able to do. If I look at the site plan, the music tent is beyond the fence, north of the fence. It is not clear in which direction the music tent is angled. The music has to be directed toward the river.
Okay, we can,
So that's one thing. Second, it's showing,
just on that though, the times are, so everyone knows, the closing times are 6 p.m., 5 p.m., 4 p.m., and 12 p.m. So, right, so it's not, that's what it says here, time, Saturday 11 to 6, Sunday 11 to 5, Friday, those are setup times. So the 2 dates are, they're ending at 6 o'clock and 5 o'clock.
yeah,
Okay, so I just don't want everyone to think that the music's going on until 12 o'clock.
9 o'clock, no,
10
not
o'clock.
at all. The second thing about the site plan is it shows food vendors to the west of the pavilion. I thought we had.
It's in the addendum that they can't do that, so.
But her site plan shows that.
Okay, well, when it came before the addendum, I think she handed this in and then came in to sign that, so I will make sure of that, because we definitely don't want that.
And the porta potties and dumpsters are north of the pavilion and west of the pavilion. So that's a problem as well. It appears as if the use of the northern entrance, as Hudson Hawks did, and the use of that area for handicap parking was not factored into Laura's proposal. And I thought we all felt that the entrance at the north end of the park, as opposed to the southeastern end of the park, was the much better way of managing the lines to get in. Right, so what is being shown here is entrance,
Mhm.
and I really think that should go. to the north area. Now, the restricted area is shown as a 127 by 127 foot area
Oh, I see.
in the northeast corner of the infield. I'm not sure. Oh, that's to protect the infield. That's what's being done there.
So, number 7 on the addendum which she signed, no vehicles other than emergency vehicles in the event of an emergency are allowed beyond the eastern end of the pavilion, in the pavilion area. So that's one thing.
Yeah.
Maximum of 15 cars are allowed with official handicap mirror hangers in that area, allowed in the park, not past the pavilion, which goes to number 6. So that's 2 of the concerns. I think she handed this in before, so we can address the north entrance and how they do that. And what was the other?
The music.
The music we'll definitely address. Great. I think we had it here also about the infield.
Yeah, but I think she's very wisely kept the infield.
She did
No.
last time and people were driving on it though, so.
Yeah, yes.
So the problem we had with food vendors here is that they would have to drive over here too? I mean, yeah.
The food vendors there,
Porta potties,
and,
they're not supposed to take cars anywhere past that.
yes, yes. And she shows beer vendors there, and that should be the parking for handicap.
Right.
And the music tent, the musicians need to face the road.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay, so we won't vote on this tonight. I'll ask her to bring in another site plan, redo the site plan. That way, I think she handed this in with the application, and we said that that's where there's an addendum going to be attached because of last year, so I will follow up on all of those. Okay, so let's go to approval of minutes, board workshop 9/3/19. Make a motion to accept.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me, Dave, who seconded? Thank you.
Anything else from the board?
Yes, the code update committee meeting is tomorrow night. What will happen in the meeting is that there will be a brief summary of the changes to each chapter. All of the chapters are online at the on the village website, both in red line format and in draft format. Also, there is the dimensional table, which shows by zone, what's the side yard setback, front yard setback, rear yard setback, lot coverage, blah, 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 blah. And also on there is the new proposed zoning map. Tomorrow night, we will not be going through any of the chapters. Chapter 134, zoning, is over 100 pages just by itself. So there's a total of about 500 pages that are on the village website. People are encouraged to look at the village website. We will accept any comments at all tomorrow night, and we will accept written comments through 30 days beyond the closing. The meeting will not be closed tomorrow night for 30 days so that we can accept more feedback. What will happen next is the Code Update Committee will take all the feedback that's been received, incorporate it as appropriate into the draft version of the chapters, and then turn the entire package over to the village board. The village board will then review the materials, make any changes they deem appropriate, and then proceed forward to, if they think it is appropriate to do so, to proceed forward to a public hearing. A sequel will have to be done, that's normal. And then if is all approved or is approved with changes, That will then all get filed with the state. My projection is it won't happen before March of next year. We will not close the meeting before November 1st. Then we have to incorporate all changes, hand it over to the village board, who will review it, may have public comments on it. You'll then have to schedule, you may make changes, then you'll have to schedule a public hearing on it. And given the volume, you may wanna do multiple public hearings, some on one on chapter 40, one on chapter 111, one on chapter 57's already done, 64, and so on and so on. So there may be a need for multiple public hearings. And then once you're satisfied with the feedback that you've received from the public hearing and have incorporated it into the code, then you would file. So my expectation is that will be another 6 months. After that, then there raises the question about, what about the LWRP? This is all being done to get Department of State approval to the LWRP. The state denied approving the LWRP because the village code had not sufficient zoning changes. And so the whole purpose of the Code Update Committee was to evaluate the changes that were necessary to the village code. So once the village approves the changes to the village code, then what is going to happen to the LWRP? The committee that.
Is that old saying, let's cross that bridge when we get to it?
That is another way to put it.
Anything else? Anything from the audience? Yes, Frank?
Everybody should be aware that the village telephone service from Verizon and the internet service are down.
We know.
And it may or may not, the police should be advised, it may or may not, for some people, be an information issue. They may not be able to contact people if they don't have alternative methods.
Marie's one of those people.
Fran is another one.
Fran is another. Anything else?
Do you have a paper copy of that at all to pick up for somebody who might be elderly and not so in tune to do online? And your review of those 500 pages, is that in paper form?
No.
That we could possibly pick
No,
up?
for
Okay.
for economy's sake, no.
I understand.
But you can download any of the documents that are on the website and peruse them. They're, I think Jeff put them out there in PDF, so you can convert to Word, you can review, you can print out, whatever.
Okay.
I mean, 500 pages, we're not gonna
Yeah.
do that.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Marie, thank you for analyzing the data and coming up with that proposal.
You're quite welcome. Thank you for getting me off my back for next week.
Do you have does Jeff have an email for you that we can contact you with any concerns?